All right, crypto crash or rally? Well, let's talk about it. This is NC Hammer Crypto. My name's Neil. We keep technical analysis short and sweet. I personally don't like to do all like the perky voices and stuff to keep your guys' attention because we're here to make money. So let's actually get into it. I actually recently talked about AIOZ network. It is breaking this downward trend line like we've seen happen with Quant and a few other coins in the previous videos. However, they are partnering with Neo Network here on June 13th, which is bullish news. It's not the most bullish news. I personally avoid news altogether, but it's some good information to know to see if there's any movement happening whenever they do that partnership. If you don't know about Neo, it's been around for a long time. I traded it back in the day, but kind of avoided it recently. However, AIOZ is partnering with them. They are breaking a downward trend line, which is nice to see. And the RSI is around the 50. When we start zooming in a little bit closer, you can see that it is trying to break over this area around 4.5, 4.6. However, if we see Bitcoin push up, like it tends to do so, we can start seeing this play out for AIOZ. And actually, I want to point out that this is a potential, as we all know, head and shoulder pattern. You could do something like this, forming for Bitcoin, which is considered bullish. However, just keep that in mind. We can see this pump up to this recent high of 110, which will bring the rest of the coins up a little bit. However, we want to break that 110 mark to start seeing some further continuation. Also keep in mind the volume is picking up and the price is actually still staying up there. So it's showing more support, pushing off this 200 EMA, at least on the 15-minute. Zooming out, looking at the daily, very blurred. Looking at the daily, here we go, computer. 200 EMA is still quite a ways away. It's around the 92,000 mark. So I do believe it is still possible for this to come back down around 97. If we get rid of this thing I just drew, this is a very nice pattern. If we can see this push up and over this high, like we were just talking about in the 15-minute, and close, we'll start seeing a continuation for Bitcoin and the rest of the market. Going back to AIOZ, it's broken that downward trend line. Comparing it to Quant, when Quant was breaking its downward trend line just a few days ago, looking at the 4-hour, we can see that as soon as it broke, it had a push upwards to 119 from around 96. Very nice profit. The 200 EMA is getting closer on Quant, which is going to be a little bit more for support. We may end up breaking this. I actually sold some of my Quant at 123 for a re-entry, as I figured it would come and touch this trend line right here and either hold this as support, have a little bit of consolidation, and if Bitcoin does not hold up, break down towards the 200 EMA before finding support potentially around 110. Bringing in GRT. Actually, I haven't looked at this chart. Potential inverse head and shoulders. We're going to keep it easy on GRT, maybe not have an entry still until we hold above this 0.1246. It's just not looking the best, but I would be entering around hold around 0.13. But like we're talking about inverse head and shoulders, again, I've been talking about this for weeks for XRP forming into the inverse head and shoulder. So you can see that here's the left shoulder, here's the head, here's the right shoulder. And once this plays out, and again, we are in June when there should be some news happening for XRP. I don't believe we're going to be hitting lower than $1.60 ever again. This was a false bear trap. And this is eventually going to be pushing up towards this 2.65, again, dollar cost average XRP. It's a very nice token to have a bag of for the future. And XCN perfectly forming within this wedge that we had played out. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 touches to this bottom trend line. And when we're looking at the top trend line, you could say 1, maybe 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and it had that rejection. Maybe if we get a touch here, we'll get a support. But if Bitcoin pushes up, all we really have to do is get over this 200 EMA, which is lined up with this downward trend line. And if that breaks, we are going to start pushing up towards the 0.02 cent mark for XCN. Again, I still think XCN is just a massive cup and handle waiting to explode. I've seen it happen with Demo, and it's time for XCN. It's been shut down for all 2023 mainly until 2024 for an entire year, but a lot of coins are going to be reaching their all-time high. This says $10 or 10 cents. I believe its actual all-time high is 18 cents, and we are at 1.5 cents. So, you know, if you got a penny and a half and you want to turn it into 18 cents, it's like turning a nickel into a dime, but better. XCN is definitely a very good bet if it's holding above this downward wedge that we've been looking at. MOG is one that I've been looking at as well. It's been trying to break this multiple 0 with 112 downward trend line. We could see some rejection. However, if it does break this, and along with the Bitcoin, if it pushes up, we're going to start seeing some pretty massive gains for MOG. Even though it is a meme coin, I mean, the next actual real rejection is 137%. You could say it's this rejection being 20% before it retraces and touches that trend line again. So just keeping MOG in mind, if it breaks this trend line right here, maybe around the 128 area, it could be a potential buy, but that's not financial advice. And pushing 7 minutes now. Wax L. We do want to see some support off this 200 EMA. However, there's a lot of volume that needs to be picking up to make this a viable entry. So I would expect this to be pushing way down, or at least consolidating if Bitcoin is pushing up, and then start seeing a lot of momentum back up to fill out this wick where a lot of people are trapped around 0.72. I believe Compound is the last one I wanted to cover. Compound in consolidation had a little rejection around 61.30, roughly right around here. Not the best entry at the moment for a Compound. But with Bitcoin's move, we could see anything happen. However, it's getting closer to the 200 EMA. It may push underneath this and then have a little consolidation before using the 200 EMA as support. So I'm kind of holding off on Compound, but it does have a really nice outlook for the future. However, I'm most bullish in Quant and AIOZ, as well as always XRP and XCN. So that's it for today. As you can see, AIOZ is already pushing up. We do just want to see this have a really quick candle, and we can get out of that one. But it can be pushing up to the 90-cent area from 42. So that's it for today. I always recommend MEXC for the lowest trading fee platform. References in the link below, just as well as Grass if you want free money, free tokens, Grass AI. Reference link below. Get started, just download an app and you will be airdropped tokens or at least points, and then once you connect your wallet you will get airdrop tokens, and I believe the token is currently around $1 or something. You can check it out. Grass USDT $2. So getting free airdrop money, if you get one token you get free $2. That's not bad. However, they have accumulated millions of points, and there's no real justification on what the actual payout is in tokens. However, it's free airdrop money. Reference link below, and Coinbase as well as Roller Token or Roller Coin, which is a free crypto mining game. You play stupid games and get paid out in actual crypto. That's always nice. That's it for today. I will see you guys on the next one. Like and subscribe if you want.